Hi, my name is Ijao Martins, licensed marriage and family therapist, couples therapist. Today, we have our dear, newly licensed marriage and family therapist, Yanni, here with us for our podcast. Hi, Yanni.
Hello. Hi.
So, Yanni, there's a saying in Chinese called 抛砖引玉, which means we literally throw out a rock to invite a jade.
Oh,
So that's my purpose today. So I will throw the break first and give us a context of our conversation, and
uh-huh.
then we will build our J together. How's that?
That sounds great. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So I've been thinking about this topic of neurodivergence, neurodiversity versus neurotypical for a while. So a while back, I was reading Devin Price's book, Unmasking Autism, and they mentioned the term neurodiversity. So I did a little bit, research with the help of chat and discovered. So um, in contrast to medical model that you and I are very familiar with, we use
Mhm,
ICD, we use DSM to
mhm,
diagnose when we do therapy. Um,
mhm,
there's a purpose for billing the insurance company, and then that's the medical model, like a doctors and nurses also use, right?
mhm,
That's
mhm,
the term we use to communicate with each other.
mhm,
And in contrast to that, there's the social model and that coined the term neurodiversity. That's back in 80s, 90s. I
mhm,
think the purpose of that term is to advocate for clients or populations that need support. And so instead of looking
mhm,
at them as the problem,
mhm,
as disability, right? We
mhm,
empower them with that's just a difference. And there's research done to show there are no two brains anatomically the same. So our
mhm,
brains are all different, and our
uh-huh,
brain keeps changing as we are working hard on ourselves to create new neural pathways, right?
uh-huh, uh-huh,
So then, but my observation is sometimes people use this term neurodiversity, neurodivergence versus neurotypical in different contexts that create more conflicts, distance, and disconnection
mhm,
than
mhm,
we intend to, maybe
mhm,
when the term was coined. So I wanted to invite us to have this conversation is for what are your thoughts on neurodiversity and neurotypical, and how do you
mhm,
feel
mhm.
about them, and what's your experience with that? And here we are.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing that with me and with the listeners and the people watching this video. I feel like this is such a huge subject, or it's really big, and I want to name that there can be many different ways of answering this, so that I'll just be answering this from my own subjective experience, and also as a licensed marriage family therapist, like my experience working with clients. I feel like neurodivergence is, when you were talking, I thought about a bird that like is forced to run and can't fly, right?
Uh-huh.
So if the bird is racing the horse, and the horse is probably going to win because the horse is designed to run. So when I think of neurotypical people and neurodivergence, I think
Mhm.
of a bird and a horse, and so how do you talk about your difference
Mm,
without shaming the neurotypical partner or your neurotypical um, friends? How do you talk about like the difference in the mediums that we both need? So I'm neurodivergent. So I've learned how to advocate for myself, how to talk about this is what I need. And I think what you said earlier, I don't know if there's such thing as neurotypical. I think, and I feel like the medical model is really based off of this like white capitalist way of moving through the world. And I love that you brought in this social model, because I think we're all a little neurotypical, right? It's just how do we function and move through the world? I feel like everyone I meet now has ADHD. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's what comes up for me right now. Yes.
Yeah. So I hear you're using a beautiful analogy, a bird and a horse, right? And
Yep.
the bird can fly, the horse can run, but not reversed. So in their own individual roles, and it works with their
Yes.
own advantage, with their own traits, right? If you force a bird to run, you will see this thing, and the horse and fly, unless it's a Pegasus or
Right. Yes. Yes.
unicorn, um,
Uh-huh.
that will be hard to imagine. So you use that analogy to show us that in relationship with other people, you see it more like a difference, right? Than I'm better or I'm worse, right? S-
And the bird could really help the horse, like,
Yeah,
see the whole forest, like, they
right.
can really work well together as long as the horse doesn't try to do the bird's job, but the bird doesn't try to do the horse's job. I mean, I know I'm really simplifying this a lot, but
Yeah,
they can really work together, and it can be so beautiful,
yeah.
and I think
Yes.
that's where
So,
we come in. We
yeah.
help them.
Yes, yes. So Yanni and I work together. I'm a couple therapist. Yanni is an individual
Uh-huh,
therapist, and we work together for couples that are impacted by an ADHD and
uh-huh,
other neurodivergence issues. So we really
uh-huh,
have our own function, right, in our
uh-huh,
role,
uh-huh,
and but we collaborate. We make calls and collaborate to think how can we put our energy together towards the same goal for the couple, the
mhm.
relationship improvement. Yes. So whoever is the horse and the bird here, we're working well together.
Yeah.
Um, that's right. Also, I wanted to introduce a slight difference. I think could be
Uh-huh,
difference.
uh-huh,
As for the term neurotypical and the neurodivergence.
uh-huh.
Yeah, you ready to hear?
Yeah. Yes, I'd love that. Yes.
Yeah. So I was curious about what is neurotypical, right? So I did
Yeah.
some research, and then the oldest terms I read is the majority brain or the norm. Then I was like, my neurodivergence come in. It's where I'm really big on data, and I was like, well, what does it mean, the majority? How much is the majority? Is 80% the population majority, or is it 60% majority? And then I read more about it. It seems like how they categorize those different ways of assessing the brain difference coming from your language acquirement, sensory integration, learning styles, and also regulate emotions, and then cognitively. So there are different aspects of the brain they test whatever they already know, right? But there are also things they do not know yet. For example, for people on the autistic spectrum disorder or on that spectrum, a lot of people actually see things with color, and then that's another way or superpower you can call it, right? That is not being categorized as one of the assessments. So my question is, for the universe, how do you decide what is majority, right? Did you really collect data from everybody's brain and all those categorize and then put it together in a chart saying, hey, we see it very clearly, that's the majority. So outside of that is not majority. So for me,
Yeah, those
that's
are
not very persuasive, the term majority or norm or typical. For me, like, that's empty. There is no data to back it up.
and then it can be really biased if we go back. So if a horse is going around asking all the animals in the animal kingdom, but they're judging what's normal based off what horses can do and what
Right,
horses say,
right.
then, the bird, the tiger, the everything else is not the norm, right?
Right,
So
right,
we have to
right.
think
Even
about like,
within the same class, like say birds, most birds flap their wings like this, right?
yes,
But the
yes.
hummingbirds go like figure eight,
Oh, yes, that's really
right?
beautiful. Yes,
And then so the
yes.
hummingbird could say, "You birds are looking weird, because
It's
this is the
true.
right way." And the other birds are like, "You're the weird one because you do figure eight." Right,
So I really appreciate that because I wonder, like, and maybe that's something you and I and the field is moving towards slowly, is I wonder how we can talk about, like, supporting each other and supporting each other's brains and not viewing differences as, maladaptive or pathological or whatever, what,
Yes. Yes, yes. So that comes into, you are kind of pushing against the medical model, right? As for
Uh-huh,
the
uh-huh,
not a disadvantage, it is not a disability. And I kind of also see how when in the social context, that's in a interpersonal relationship,
uh-huh,
right?
uh-huh, uh-huh,
Especially for partners or they desire to be in an equal relationship or more um, on the same page, balanced instead of a one up, one down relationship,
uh-huh,
right? If
uh-huh,
that's what they're
uh-huh.
choosing to have, the ideal situation is to recognize your own strength and your challenges and the other person's, and how can we negotiate a way to accommodate each other so we actually put our strengths together to work towards our
Yes.
goals instead of like wasting energy in battling each other for
Right. Uh-huh,
differences, right?
uh-huh,
And then in the larger social model, I can also see with this advocacy of difference can help certain people to get some accommodations in the world,
uh-huh.
right? Like say from disability payment,
Accommodations are so
to
important. I just
yeah,
like,
yeah.
pardon, I got, when I took my LMFT exam, I got accommodations because, I needed more time to
Mhm.
focus. I needed to take more breaks so that I could stay regulated, and those accommodations were really helpful for
Yes,
me.
yes.
Mhm,
When there is acknowledgement of our differences and
mhm,
when there's a willingness to accommodate or still align with the goals and the values of whatever the organization or system is, right? That works. So you benefited from that. You benefit from
mhm.
that. Yes. So I would love to invite you back, Yanni, for our future series. And after this, I want to talk about accommodations because I really see people are struggling with accommodation.
Yes, yes, and I'd love to talk about just a little bit as like I think I've used accommodations as my undergrad and my
Mhm.
graduate school and most recently the exam. And I feel like there's a lot of stigma and maybe shame. And so part
Yes,
of what I feel like we're talking about now is also how can we really embrace being whatever animal you want to be or fish or like whatever, like how can you embrace your neurodivergence and recognize its challenges, but also its strengths.
yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
And you are so aware of your challenges and you have the resource to tap into, right? The social
Uh-huh.
resources, accommodations for you.
Uh-huh.
You're aware of that, right? Part of it is that you're a social worker. So you know those things, right? And
Yes,
like a
yes.
lot of our clients actually missed a lot of opportunities to be supported growing up, say in schools, right?
Uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh.
then with the late diagnosis. And there's a lot of grief around
Uh-huh.
well, if we have already been recognized and supported in that way, my life could be very different, right?
Uh-huh.
So there are
Uh-huh.
a lot of us are still struggling with not acknowledging the challenges that we have. I see that in in counseling field,
Uh-huh.
in nursing, doctors, and legal fields, and for a lot of what we call the helping professionals, that we are
Uh-huh.
so devoted to helping other people, right? And not to see, as you probably know this, and from psychodynamic, when we project the part of us want to be helped and nurtured to other people and we fix it on other people, we ignore our own humanity, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Hands on the
Mm.
heart for all of us, in
Mhm.
all those fields, in other fields, for all
Mhm.
of those who are overburdened and who are exhausted by focusing on other people's problems and not seeing
Mhm.
us also needed support and help because we're all just a part of the humanity.
Yes.
Yes. So nice to have you, Yanni. I will
Thank
see
you.
you down the road for another podcast on the
Okay.
accommodation.